Hey guys. Awesome. All right. Happy Sunday. So good to see everybody. I just took a shower because we went for a swim this afternoon and I am feeling refreshed, and I had at least 12 minutes to relax in the day. So that was good. And I'm not saying that as a jab at work. That was just my kids. Like, you go to the pool with your kids, not really relaxing. My husband and I are going to be married 10 years in December. And I said, what do you want to do for our 10-year anniversary? Like, do you want to go to Paris? Do you want to plan a big party? He's like, let's go away with the kids for a week. No, that's not a vacation. I'm like, that sounds like hell on earth. No, I love them. They're awesome, but it's not relaxing. But they're cute and great and exhausting. Anyway, so I did go to the pool with them. I did get to relax for about 15 minutes, which was great. It was actually really great. So I am feeling refreshed. I was here this morning, so I know that not everyone's going to be here because there was at least I feel like there was 60 people here this morning. I decided to hop on this morning and do another session because Sundays are really chill for me, and I didn't have any reason to cancel noon. I moved it because a lot of our students requested that it would be better for them. People were asking if we could stagger it sometimes because some people live overseas and they can never make it if it's at noon. So I said, sure. And then I realized that it was upsetting and inconvenient for some other folks. So I'm like, well, I got time. So I jumped on this morning and I gave the class that I'm going to give now. So if you guys were at that class, you're free to go unless you want to hang out, but we're going to basically go over we're going to go over what I taught this morning. It's the same class. And I do think that it's really a good one. I think it's super, super important. And then whoever doesn't make it here will be able to watch the replay, but that's awesome. You're in New Zealand. That's so cool. So you must be like, yay, I can actually watch. Where is everybody else from who's here right now? Tell me in the chat. Where's everybody else from? Okay, cool. So some people are stateside. Canada. All right, cool. Sydney, awesome. Ontario, okay, cool. That's so cool, Amanda. Yeah, I know that we have a decent amount of people who actually don't live in the States, and so I know that it was getting challenging to have every session smack in the middle of the day. You're like, I'm asleep. It's the next day. I just took a shower, so my hair is super wet, so I'm gonna put on a sweatshirt. Awesome. Oh gosh, and Chris, you're also in Australia. Wow. And you're also in New Zealand. Amazing. This is so cool because this is possibly is this the first time you're on live for you guys? Or no? Tell me in the chat. No, you've been here before, live? Oh no. She's like, no, I usually get up at 5:30. All right. Well, and you do too? You guys are amazing. That is such, oh my God, you went live before, Chris, at 4 a.m.? The respect level is very high right now. Really, you guys? Can I tell you, and then this is a fact, you're going to be so successful. That level of commitment, that's not something you can even, I hope it's something you can teach people to be productive like that, but that's the X factor. That's incredible. Wow, very impressed. Well, I'm very impressed, and we will try to stagger these. What we'll just do is we'll just give you guys a lot more time. I'm always just trying to please everyone. I'm pleasing this person. Oh no, now it's inconvenient this person. But I think today we at least covered some basis because we had people in at 9 a.m. Now we've got a bunch of people here now. Awesome. So let's dive in. Okay, here we go. So today we're going to talk about two important things. We're going to talk about business development, and we're going to talk about what is the single biggest thing that you guys need to start to really get so that you can be really successful, really successful. You went into this year with a lot of goals. You started this program with a really big desire, and I want to make sure that you see that through. And we're going to talk about what is it really that's going to be the linchpin for all of that. So let's start with the beginning. Okay, let's start with business development. So I know that a lot of you joined this program, and I've actually heard through the grapevine, I'm not joking, I wish I could just play you these messages, But John Kleinbell leaves me messages saying, Kath, the amount of talent in this program in the August cohort, he's like, it's off the chain. He's really, really impressed. And not to like throw anyone under the bus, but he said that a couple times he's been doing listening sessions and he's just like amazed that sometimes the way it's worked out is that he's like so excited about some of these songs that are coming out of you guys. You've only been in the program a month, and some of the folks who've been here longer, maybe he's like sometimes like, whoa, I can't believe this person's been here so much longer and this person's just got here and the music is so good. And so that says a lot about the talent. And I did tell you that we saw that when people were enrolling, we were doing a lot of research. Like every time someone enrolled, we'd like look up the person, try to listen to their music, find them online. And we kept saying, wow, this is a really talented group of souls. It's not just the talent. I feel like the energy is really high. So that's great. But some of you are going to be saying, why are we talking about business development? I just started this program and I'm not ready to do that. So I'm going to turn that around for you today, because you own a business. You are an entrepreneur. You're a CEO, and you are the CEO of you, right? You are the CEO of your brand. And so anyone who has a business has to be doing business development. I want to talk to you about what I mean and how you can start to do that a little bit every day. So maybe you're ready, maybe you're not. Maybe some of you are saying, you know what, I'm not going to have an EP ready to send out until I'm finished with this 6 months or until the end of 2020. This is all separate from what I'm going to teach you to do right now. In fact, it's actually better, because every single thing that we're going to talk about today is really unique. It doesn't happen most of the time. It's why most people are not successful. And I'm going to show you how to be successful and stand out. It is all about business development and sales. Sales is, I want you to change that around in your mind. The number one reason why people don't pitch their own music, why people don't want to reach out, is because you are nice people. And so in your mind, doing things like that might equate in your head being pushy, being salesy. You don't want to be assertive. And I want you to reroute the way you think of that. I want you to understand sales as being in service. Because the truth is, can I tell you something amazing? Human beings, they've done all these studies where they hook people up to fMRIs and they look at the way the brain lights up. More than sex, more than money, more than food, the thing that lights up most in a person's brain is when they contribute to other people. And we've talked about that before. That's a huge value for me, is finding a sense of purpose. And I want you to understand that the reason why sometimes people don't want to do sales because they're not really clear that they're actually they're doing something for someone else, which is why the entire model that I've built is all about anticipating what someone needs, being empathetic to that person, and ultimately, before you would ever offer someone something, before you would ask someone for something, you'd want to make a lot of deposits, right? Like when you're farming the land, you don't try to just like rip out a tomato. You know intuitively you're going to nurture the land, the rain's going to fall, you're going to toil, you're going to stir it, you're going to make sure this compost gets really fertile, and you're going to invest in it. And then there's going to be this beautiful reward at the end. And every relationship you've ever made since you're 3 years old, 4 years old, 8 years old, 20 years old, you just kind of know the rhythm. Like all of us have had an experience where you go to a party and you meet somebody, and right away they're like, hey, what's your name? Frank? Great. Can I tell you about a business opportunity? I got a piece of real estate for you. And you're like, this guy is so weird. Like, what are you doing? Like, if you would never walk up to your neighbor who you don't talk to very often and say, hey, what's your name? Natalie? Nancy? Nancy, can you take me to the airport tomorrow, 4:15 a.m.? How's that sound? And this person would be looking at you like you're nuts, right? Like no one does that. No one does that. And why don't we do that? Because there's a natural rhythm to things. So what I've noticed, you guys, is that 99.99999% of the time, people don't really understand how to be effective, really effective in business. And so what they do is they go right to the ask. So people will send emails all the time. Can you listen to my music? How about this? Do you want? And they'll send long emails. Here's a little bit about me. Here's a paragraph about me. Here's this, here's that. People are saying that a lot of people don't have the right link. Shoot, that sucks. I'll just tell Delana to make sure that she gets everyone the right link while I'm on here with you guys. Hang on. Hey guys, we are on Zoom. There are a group of lovely human beings here, but I think that some people don't have the wrong link. So people are saying it's posted. The wrong link was posted yesterday. I'm not sure exactly why, but just maybe if you're hearing this, then, oh, you are hearing this. Delena's listening. Hey, Delena, just make sure that everybody has the right link. Oh, she just did. Okay, people are saying you just did. All right, I don't know where that went wrong, but whatever, we're humans. It's all good. Thank you. All right. Well, we are just hopefully making sure that everybody's here. Sorry, guys. I don't know why you guys have the wrong link, but we're here and we're diving in and we're talking about business development. And I'm going to give you some really specific things that I want you to start to do. It's going to reframe the whole way that you look at this. What's easier, asking someone to do something for you or making a relationship with someone else and just giving to that person? What's easier? Let's say you had found someone's wallet. You're on the subway, you find a wallet. John Smith, are you looking forward to returning it or not? How many of you would want to return that wallet? Would you feel weird reaching out to the person? No. You hopefully find a number and you'd be like excited, right? You get to do something nice for someone. There'd be no hesitation. You'd be like, hey, so I found your wallet. Oh my God, you're the one who found my wallet. Thank you so much. Cool. So let me drive it to you or I'll mail it to you, whatever's best. Thank you so much. Feels good, right? Feels good. So what winds up happening is, and we're going to talk about this part in the second piece, but the reason why we don't make that phone call is because we don't believe that we have this thing. We don't believe that we have something of value. And we're not approaching it even in that way. We think one way when we're emailing friends, and as soon as we send someone a business email, we think we have to prove ourselves. We think we have to impress somebody and convince someone of something. True or false? Raise your hand if you ever thought that before. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. Everybody who's sitting on the other end of that computer, they're a person. And you've gotten to meet some of them. You've gotten to meet Alec and Julian and Adele. You got to meet some people so far. They're really nice. I find that the music supervision community is the coolest part of the music business. I think record label executives are very different. I've gotten to spend time with them too. There's a lot more ego in the record business. And these guys, they're really true music fans. They don't care if you've ever made money before, if you have 400,000 followers on Instagram or 2. They don't care. They just want to find a great song. And what they've done is they've become the new A&R. They find a song, they put the song in the ad, they put the song in the movie, and the record label swoops in and signs this artist. And they don't get any credit. They don't get a point on the record. They don't get an A&R bonus, but they really do the work. And the reason I know that is because not only can you see that being the trend, but I've sat with Craig Kalman and Ron Fair, and I'm like, how do you find talent? They're like, oh, we look for what's being used in the movies or what's on an ad, and then we like reach out to that person. And I'm like, interesting. So I've talked to music supervisors about this. So they're really cool human beings who really are looking for indie artists most of the time because you help them do their job. You help them do their job. They're under a lot of pressure. And part of their job is creative, where they have to find the right song for the right project. And part of their job is legal. They have to make sure they can clear it. They have to make sure that they can get it for the right budget. And that becomes a really big headache. And every time they're asked to find a song, they have to bring a few options because the director may or may not like whatever song. So they have to find the right song that fits and then the song that's actually going to be okay to clear and fit the budget. So when an indie artist comes along who's kind and thinking about what they need and easy to work with and budget friendly, you're really kind of finding their wallet because they get in trouble if they don't get this done. And if this happens enough times and they can't find the right music that they can clear when they need to get it done by, they don't keep their job. They don't keep their job. So I've had a few music supervisors along the way send me flowers, thank me, take me to dinner, and I'm like, shouldn't this be the other way around? Like, what's happening? And by the way, I am famous for like sending people cupcakes, bringing people coffee, all that stuff. But I asked them, like, what's so good about and they're like, oh, it's always so easy. Like, I just know you're going to have something that I can actually use. And then you're so easy to clear. I just send you the thing. There's no hassle. You're not, redlining everything. You're just saying, no problem. As long as this and this, we're good to go. And then you just accept these terms. And I'm like, these terms are amazing. Like non-exclusive deals where I'm like giving you exclusivity for 3 months and you're giving me 72 grand for a Payless commercial. That's good for me. Like, I'm pretty happy about it. And I try to act super smooth. Like, that'll work. I'm like, yes. You know what I mean? Like, it's amazing. So it's really, really good. So I want you to change the way you look at it. And I actually want you to change it even more. Instead of thinking I found someone's wallet, which is the equivalent of like, I've been studying proactively, what most artists don't. Most artists, first of all, don't take much action at all. And then the ones that do are really, really, really hung up on being their own person. And a lot of people have this feeling, and we've discussed it before, where they're like, I either do my art or I'm a sellout. So I don't want to think about what anyone else wants, which means they're going to wind up with this thing that they have. They're going to try to get someone to buy. And it doesn't usually work. Sometimes it just happens to line up, but it's so much easier to be Randy Newman because he sits there and like goes to the spotting sessions and they tell him, this is what we're doing for Toy Story. Here's what we need. And he's like, okay, great. It's so much easier to make you dinner when I know what you want. So what's going on here is before we even, and here's the piece I really want you to get. You're going to be saying to me, Kath, I'm working over the next few months to put together the wallet, the great songs that they need. I don't have them yet. And I want to do something different with you. I want to teach you to do business development before you even have it. And some of you I know do. So that's awesome. But whether you do or you almost do, it's irrelevant. Because everything in life comes down to access. It's who you know, it's who you know, it's who you know. But here's the good thing. I don't know if you can relate to this, but I personally would rather reach out to a stranger and make a new friend than call a cousin or a friend of my friends who's in the industry somewhere, because it's so much easier to me. So everything I've ever built, whether it was my music business or my podcast business, getting guests, I'm tasked with finding and making new friends. And how does that happen? I want you to think about what you're looking for when you send someone an email. You're not trying to get right to the sale. I don't want you to send emails where you're asking people, giving people homework. Hey, would you listen to my music? Hey, would you listen to my music? I want you to start now. Just like if you were going to paint these walls, what do you do first when you're painting? What's the first thing you do before you put the color on? Do you know what it's called? What's that first thing called that you do? Yeah, you prime. Exactly. You prime the wall. If you don't prime the wall, if you don't put the primer on, you go ahead and paint it and it doesn't really absorb well and it doesn't finish right and it's kind of spotty. It doesn't really work. So we want to prime it, right? And you would do that for everything. You're going to make a cake, you're going to preheat the oven, right? So you want to make this really a long journey. I want to remind you that you don't need 100 people to be your clients. You need maybe 6 people. You can make a great career from that. 6 people who go to you, who keep circling back and looping you in. That's amazing. You'd be doing pretty well if you had 3 people like that in your life. That's it. That's it. You're golden. So first we have to know, who are those people? Who's your audience? Now, we're not talking about audience right now the way we would if we were talking about trying to get more Spotify plays. That's a whole nother topic, right? We're not talking about trying to get people to follow you on Instagram. For the purpose of this program, we're talking about business-to-business relationship building. So when I say who's your audience, it's a business to business, right? You're looking for people who are going to be in your audience to license music. Now, not everybody is the right audience for you. I'm not going to reach out to trailers with my music because they're looking for stuff that's a little more dark, ominous, hip-hop, maybe a Sia track. They're not looking for Cathy Heller music, unless it may be once in a while there's like a romantic comedy trailer, but generally speaking, right? So who are you reaching out to? So the first thing I want you to do is see if you've already started to figure this out over the last month. Who's your audience? Do you have an idea? Do you have a name? Have you gotten that far? Like in the TV and film world, there's people like Gary Calamar, Lindsay Wolfington, Madonna Wade Reed, Jen Piken. Does anyone know, as a little quiz, what show Jen Piken is the music supervisor for? Anyone want to put that in there? You'll get an extra candy if you know who it is. That's honest. No idea. Yes, Steven! Smart cookie. Doing your homework. Impressive. Correct. This Is Us. Great show. She was just in, last year there was a big spread in Variety magazine, just tons of photos of her, because the music from This Is Us, similar to Stranger Things. People love the music from Stranger Things. Anyone know who the music supervisor is for Stranger Things? All right, so you guys have some homework to do. That's okay. So I want you to get this down, just like when people are trading baseball cards and they know who their team, fantasy baseball, they know the player, where they were, where they're being traded, all that stuff. There's only about 6 core music supervisors for film and TV. And in your accountability groups, it's actually so doable. You could turn to your group and say, by the end of a week, I want everyone to fill in at least 5 or 6 names. You'll get everybody in the film and TV space. It is more of a finite thing. In the ad space, it's more of like this big web. You've got ad agencies in the States, in different continents. You've got people at one ad agency in Chicago, and then there's not just one supervisor. There's a supervisor, producers, the business affairs person, which is actually awesome because there's a lot of ways into the ad world, because not every person is so easily recognized. Meaning there's a person who does the music for these TV shows. And so they get a lot of emails. In the ad space, there might be 11 people who work at the agency. Even if there's one music supervisor, maybe 11 people could get you to that person, and maybe those other 8 don't get as many emails like that, which is cool because they're not as fatigued, right? And they might be able to then go, oh, this is cool. I like talking to you. You know who you should talk to? And then it's a much better introduction, right? Because you're being introduced by so-and-so rather than coming in cold, which is one way in. In fact, making friends with a person in business affairs at an ad agency is awesome, because the business affairs person is usually, this is my little secret, the business affairs person is usually the person whose job it is to clear the song once the creative side has chosen the song. And then they just give the creative team bad news all the time. They're like, next, you can't clear it. Next, you gave me a hard one. No, there's 3 writers on the song and one is not even, I can't even find him. No, it's over budget. And then the creative side's like, shoot. So what the creative team starts to do is build folders of people that they know they can easily clear, know they can clear for this budget, know they don't have a lot of red tape around them, stuff like that. So when the business affairs person says, I just made this relation with this really cool girl, Cathy Heller, I think you should keep her in mind. It's like, oh, business affairs likes her. That means she's easy to do business with. We'll keep her in like a short list, right? Meaning like when we need something, if it's between, we'll just see what she has, okay? So coming in through Nora Felder. So coming in through that side is a really good idea, right? Okay. So when we're looking to prime, it's almost better if you're not in this moment where you know those moments where you just leave the studio and you get a new track. I know you're dying to send it out. It's so good. In fact, what's funny is like 4 months later, you're like, it's not that good. But at the time, you're like, this is the best thing I ever recorded. Then you record the next thing and you're like, no, this is the best thing. But I have always had that moment. Like people are like, what's your favorite song? Whatever I just did. Like that's always my favorite song. So when you have those moments, and I know viscerally what that feels like, you are just ready to send things out. Yeah, Lindsay Wolfington, someone asked me, what's her last name? So when you're ready to send it out, it's a little bit of a push-pull, because what I want you to do is be in it for the long game. I want you to know that it's a very small business on the film and TV side. I want you to know that in general, when you're making a relationship, it takes what it takes when you've made any other relationship. It's going to take that natural, right? Building a connection, building trust. People don't buy things from anybody. We buy feelings. It's how we feel. It's a feeling thing. That's it. Feeling. It's all feeling. And when people are tuned in and they're empathetic and we like to be around them, we want to work with them. It's really simple, but we don't get it. So what we do is we put tons of pressure on ourselves to be super impressive, to have everything right, and then send this person this perfect email as if in one email we're supposed to make the sale. But that doesn't work. So really, I want you to change this around. I want you to think about over the next few months while you're getting it together, your beautiful business card, which is going to be 3 to 5 songs on an EP. That's going to be like your calling card. While you're building that, on the way there, I want you to be planting seeds and nurturing and making relationships with your audience. I want you to come up with the names of 10 or 12 people that are really your people. And then I want you to start to think about how you're going to make a plan to nurture and create an actual relationship. So what you're looking for, instead of like, I'm sending an email, I'm making a sale, sending an email, they listen to my music. That's like the guy who comes over and you're just like, can we go to dinner first, right? Like you want to actually build a relationship. So what you want to do is you're looking only, it's like playing volleyball. All you're looking for is that ball to go back and forth, which means you're going to send a and I'm going to give you an example here, very short and sweet email with a really quick CTA, which is a call to action. And the call to action is not going to involve them doing homework, them listening to music. It's going to be something that would be about 2 people making friends. I'll give you an example. First of all, Alex Stern is a good example. He just came into the class. Anyone who's already come into the class, and every month you're going to meet about 3 people, that is something that's a given that you should follow up. Okay? Follow up. Hey, Alec, short and sweet. And you're not in it for the sale. You're in it to send some good vibes and to make a friend. That's your goal. Keep your eye on the priority. Hey, Alec, I loved what you said about blah, blah, blah. I was in that session. Quick question. I know you live in Chicago. Where's your favorite place to get pizza? I'm planning a trip. Anything, you come up with it. Maybe he talked about, I know he got married a couple of years ago, right? Like if he mentioned something about that, depending on who it is, it doesn't matter. Maybe you're reading an article. You're reading an article in Adweek. You don't even have to read the whole article. Read the headlines. If you find something interesting, read a little more. Maybe you start reading Adweek. It's free. It's an online magazine. You can read it, right? So you start looking at this stuff and you just start to collect information. And you see there's an article about the 10 women who are crushing it in the ad space. You see there's an article about 4 people who just won a Clio. You watch the ad. You see the creative director. You see who the music supervisor was for that Dr. Pepper spot. You reach out. I just read about you in this. I love how you were quoted, da, 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 da. I'm just curious. What's the first album you ever bought? A fun, easy to answer question. And you start out by saying, no need. You start out by saying, this is going to be 60 seconds. I know you're busy. Just want to say, I think you're awesome. Asking you a quick question, make it fun. And then you say, no rush on reply. Thanks so much. You people are going to write you back. It's easy. It's easy to write back. And it stands out because you're not saying, hey, I would love for you to listen to my music. Thanks in advance. Can't wait to hear back. What that does is it makes a person feel like, oh, this person's really in it for me to help them. It's just giving me extra homework. It's a little fatiguing. And we don't even know each other. And I'll just put that over here. Because think about a person who's got a job to do. So they have their job. So they have the stuff they have to do for their job. And then after work, they got the stuff they got to do. And then there's people all day long offering them more stuff to do. And they're like, I don't really want to do more stuff, right? I want to just get the stuff done that I need to get done, right? So it makes sense, right? It makes sense. So I want you to start to think about how you can work smart, right? Instead of saying I need to work all day, forget it, this is so hard. What I notice is that people who've gone through my programs, the ones who do really well, they're doing 2 things. They're creating the music, they're working their craft, they're making the music better, 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 and they're making a relationship with the person they need to get that music to. And it goes back and forth. And I really encourage people to get in that dance and get that volleyball going back and forth before you've written the whole book, written the whole album. When people say like, I wrote a whole record, right? It's like, well, I would rather, imagine a person who's like, no, I don't need to hear from you. I don't need to know what you need. I'm just going to make something and I'm going to make a ton of something and then I'm going to try to make you want it. It's harder than starting a relationship and you start to get to know someone, and the time does come for you to mention your music, and then now it's easier. And you'll find that if you start to be really caring, and if you come from a place of empathy and you're not pushing your music and you're just kind, people will say back to you, such a nice email, like that was so refreshing, send me your music, you're a musician, send me your music. And you'll be like, cool, thanks, I'd love to, no rush, I know you're busy. And then again, in order to make that email effective, really specific, easy to answer question, because it gets you a response and you're really just looking to get the relationship going. So once that happens, along the way, you might then hear if somebody needs something. You might ask them that. I really want to help you. Well, how could I be of service? What do you need from an artist like me? I don't want to just send you something. I want to send you what you need. Well, since you asked, we need music for Christmas. Cool. I'm glad you told me that. Since you asked, we're looking for a track that's really like this track. Do you know this song? We need something similar. Oh, I'm so glad you told me that, right? And maybe it becomes more of a priority because now you have a relationship with someone and you want to go see if you can figure out how to create something that they need rather than continuing to finish this thing. Most creative people I know are just working on stuff. They're not necessarily working with the end in mind. They're not necessarily even sure who they're working for. That's a problem, right? So not a lot of stuff gets done when we don't know who it's for. And then what I see a lot of people do is maybe they figured it out. They've been working towards something. They know who it's for. They can spend tons of time working on the stuff, but very little time actually putting it out in the world. And that's because it's really scary. It's easier, as hard as it is to do the work, and it already is hard, it's even scarier to press publish. It's scarier to put it out. It's scarier to press send, right? So the question is, what is the thing? Remember I told you I want to talk about a couple of things today? We're going to go back and forth here, but what is the thing that actually makes all of this possible? Like maybe you're listening to me now and you're like, this makes sense what she's saying. I want to try to do this, Like maybe some of you have been feeling like, oh, I wish it was already like the middle of the work week because I'm like excited now. I think I would like to send a few emails to the people who came to the class, or maybe I would like to just send, it's so much easier, right, to send a few emails when you're not asking someone to do something for you, or you're nervous they have to find the right song, right? You're just going to create a relationship. But then it feels also still a little bit scary to do it. And I want to talk about what is the absolute thing that's going to help you stay in this? Like, let's be really, really honest. Like, how are you going to see these things through? So tell me what makes it possible for us to do anything, to work towards a goal, to hustle, to take action, to just get in the ring. What do you think it is? Put it in the comments. Yeah, we talked about energy in the past. That's true. This is definitely related. Tenacity, yeah. You're all saying really good things, but Fiona said it, which is belief in the work. And it is energy, but I want to make it even clearer for you. You have to believe. You have to believe what's possible. And most people don't. And the reason why, and we talked about this before, through the course of whether you want to look at creation or evolution, I want you to remember that your mind was created to do what? What is your mind trying to do for you every day? What is your brain here for? What's the purpose of your brain? Yeah, that's right, Sharon. Yeah, a lot of you are saying it. It's there to protect you. That's it. It just wants to protect you. It just wants to keep you safe. All day long, your incredible brain is scanning for danger. Worry, danger, 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 danger. What can I worry about? What can I worry about? And by the way, the smarter you are, you worry more. So congratulations. Okay, smart people are just even better at solving problems. In fact, if you come from a line of human beings that's been persecuted, if you come from a minority, oh my God, do you worry? Like, I can tell you, like, I come from a history of Holocaust survivors. You know what I mean? They freaking survived these things. You understand? The only way, and you look back, even all of us, forget it, even if you haven't been persecuted, the fact that you survived, your grandparent, they made it through wars with a saber-toothed tiger, right? Like, so the smarter ones are better at solving problems, you know? So yeah, I'm surrounded by people in my family who worry, they're neurotic, and it's like their worrying gene helped them survive, right? So it's like we all worry too much. We worry too much, right? So what do we have to do? First of all, understand that you're totally, totally normal. It's not just you. Like, I think it's funny how like everywhere you go, people are selling you on like, do this, you'll be happy, take this vacation, buy this book, buy this car, hang out with this person, get a boob job, whatever, like you'll be happy, you'll be happy. And then you do all these things, you're like, I'm not happy, so I must be like, something is broken. No, 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 no. You have a brain. Your brain wants to find things to solve. That's what it's doing, okay? In fact, if you think about it through like, you know, the journey of the human being, bears are bigger than us physically. They can rip us apart. So your brain is bigger than an animal's because your brain had to think, okay, there's a bear track. What am I going to do? So like what we have on these other species is a bigger brain, right? We can solve bigger problems. We have to understand one thing, which is because that's the case, you have to know that and you have to fuel yourself. I venture to say that the reason most of you truly at the end of the day, like we're like, I'm going to do this program is because somewhere along that journey of those 5 days and that challenge, I got you to believe in something. And you were like, let's do this, right? And like the light went off and you're like, I'm in. Now, how many of you can think of something, don't tell me who it is, but you can think of someone who when you speak to them, you are so drained. Just raise your hand if you can think of one person like that. Oh yeah, I'm gonna put 2 hands up. I know those people, okay? It is intense, right? My mom suffers from depression. She's not on her medication these last few years, and I love her, but she is, it's heavy. You know, it's heavy, it's hard. And my dad is got so much stuff going on, so much. He is, yeah, difficult, you know? So it's like when I'm talking to them, I have to have extra in the tank because I have to give to them because I'm going to be wiped out. Like I can't ever, whenever this happens, I'm like, what was I thinking? Like I can never be in a lower level place and hang out with these. I'm like, oh crap, why would I have thought this was going to go well? Like it's not going to go well, you know? Then raise your hand if you can think of people who they just build you up. Like they give you energy. You're around them and you're just like, I'm so fired up. Yes. Okay. So that's awesome, right? And there's also certain tasks that we do. You do that thing and you're just wiped out. Like every time someone gives me any kind of paperwork, if I have to call AT&T or sit at the Genius Bar, I'd rather be in labor, honestly. Like I'd rather go through pushing out a child than have to call the 1-800 number on the back of my credit card. Like I can't stand it. You wait, you sit, I'm like, it's so draining. I can't handle it. I hate all of that stuff. So there's certain things that you do that just drain you. Now, we know that we've had that experience. And then we've had other times in our life where like you're on very little sleep. You wind up going to this thing, you're at the beach with friends, something happens, there's a sunset, you're in nature and you are just fired up and you're just like, oh my God, I'm so lit up. There's been other moments in your life where you just gain massive clarity. You know, sometimes you're standing in nature at the foot of the Grand Canyon, something gorgeous. You're on top of a mountain or something intense happens. Someone goes away. You're at a funeral and you're feeling so sad, but you're so clear. You're so sad, but you have such clarity about what matters and who you are, what you want and what you should be and all of it. And you're just like, I feel awful but amazing at the same time because I feel so clear and so grounded and so grateful, but I'm so sad. And then you have moments where like somebody's born and like and you have the same clarity and you're so overpowered. But does it last? No, it doesn't last. Emotion means energy in motion. So the way that it works is you get energy, but it passes. We metabolize it and then it passes. Just like a tree takes the sunlight, there's the photosynthesis, and then it needs it again, right? I recently test drove a Tesla, and the woman was like, all right, so Tesla's amazing. It does this, this, this. And I couldn't believe it. Like they now, if you look at the screen when you go inside the car, some of you might know, you probably have one, like literally it has like it has like a search bar. Like you can like Google, like you can like be like plugging, like as if there's a laptop. It's just amazing. I mean, I'm surprised it can't like make you a steak and eggs. Like it does everything. And so the woman's like, let's just say you want to go to Vegas. And she puts it in, she goes, let me show you what it does. And it gives you all the directions, like, you know, typical stuff. And she goes, and then you see this? This shows you exactly where the Tesla charging stations are and how many miles till you have to charge it and how many minutes you have to charge it. So if you went to Vegas, you could stop here, 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 or here. And if you stop here, you need 22 minutes of charge. If you stop here, you need a little bit more because this is a supercharger. And you're like, okay, cool. And you're like, all right, but wait a minute. I have to stop and charge it? Oh. And you're like, well, of course you do, right? It eats gas. You know, like how stupid would you be if you went and bought this thing? What does this cost now? $1,100 or something? You buy the phone. Imagine this. You buy this phone, you leave, and you are like telling your friend, this phone's a piece of junk. And your friend's like, what happened? It's a great phone. What do you mean? It's an Apple phone. It's amazing. No, it's a piece of garbage. What's wrong with it? It doesn't work. It doesn't turn on. So you go to the store and you're like, it doesn't work. And the guy's like, what are you talking about? It works. It doesn't work. Did you charge it? Of course I charged it. I left the store 3 days ago and it had, I don't know, 65% or something when he gave it to me, and it doesn't work anymore. No, it doesn't work. Of course it doesn't work. You have to charge it. When? Every day, many times a day. And how many of you, and this is such a fun thing to do with people, I'm obsessed with this. Don't look at your phone. Just tell me right now approximately how much juice is in your phone right now. Just put it in the chat. Don't look. Look how fast. Yes, yes. Look how you know. You know. You know. I guarantee you, you know that fact more than anything else in the world. At any given time, you are aware of that phone's battery life. I know because I get anxiety. If I'm leaving the house for a date and I have like 17% in my phone, I won't go. I'll be like, I can't go. I need more juice in my phone. I physically start to feel weak because my phone has a very low battery charge, right? And I'll be like, I'll get in the Uber. I'll be like, can you please plug my phone in? I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't survive it. When I go to New York City, I get so frustrated because I always tell myself, bring a power pack for your backpack. And then I forget. And then I go into Dwayne Reed and I buy 3. Every time I'm there, I'm like, crap, shoot, I didn't charge my, like, right? Like I can't. Because what happens, one time I was in New York, you're out all day. That's New York. You know, you leave your hotel room at 9 a.m., you're out till the sun goes down. So you're out. And it was like 3:15 and I was like, I have no phone. I was like, great. I don't know the address of my next meeting. I don't know where I'm supposed to meet this girl. I don't know the name of the bar I'm meeting my cousin. I don't know nothing. I'm done. I need my phone, right? So I have to go buy a charger. So why am I mean, it sounds so ridiculous what I'm saying. It sounds so ridiculous, except that what I can tell you is I've talked to literally millions of people. I have a podcast. I talk to millions of people, millions. And the thing that is absolutely missing, that when you get this, you get everything, is you need to understand that you got to charge your own batteries. You got to love yourself and love filling yourself up and feeding yourself just as much as you're obsessed with making your phone is charged. What does that mean? It means every day. It doesn't mean yesterday and that's enough. It doesn't mean you listen to one of these classes, you get on a call with John and Alec and you're like, that was cool. That showed me what's possible. He was so cool. We listened to some music. John was really encouraging. And you're like, I'm going to like let that be my charge for the next 6 months. That does not work. It doesn't work. So what are you going to do about that every single day? Now, some people are going to be really pretentious and say like, you have to do it this way. No, you don't. There's no one way. There are some people who work out every morning. They swear by that. Some people meditate every morning. Do what works for you. It has to get done every single day. Every day. You cannot leave it to chance and just hope that somehow this brain that was made to worry, it's a worry machine, it's just going to be cool all day long. It's just going to remind you of what you need to hear. And you're going to be so fired up so fired up that you're going to take massive action because you're so clear. That is not going to be left to chance. It will. Here's what's going to happen. I guarantee it's not going to happen consistently. It doesn't happen on its own. It just doesn't. But what your brain loves is to be stimulated and solve problems. So give your brain better problems to solve. Instead of just letting it kind of do something, looking to worry about, feed it with something. I want to get this done. Start asking better questions. Who can I rewrite into? What can I write? If I want to make empathy, if I want to make this relationship, if that's what I'm after, what do I need to do? And if you're constantly being fed with positivity, you're going to push yourself into action. So what I like to do is actually feed myself. Instead of taking a run, for me personally, instead of taking a run or meditating, I like to actually put things in. So first of all, I have like 26,000 followers on Instagram, but I only follow like 200 people. I keep it super lean, and I curate my feed of the people that I follow so that, because I know I can't be stopped. So I know within 3 minutes of waking up, I'm going to grab my phone. So if that's the case, I'm going to click on Instagram. It's usually like the second thing I click on. And then I just get showered with positivity because I find the people who I want to follow. I watched every Gary Vee video. I have like 6 other people like him who I watch and listen to. Seth Godin, I read out his blog every single day. And it's amazing. Like I get a hit of this every day. Every single morning, right? And then there's like a bunch of other people. There's a feed called Girls Building Empires. They always say something really good in the morning, and I just feed off of it. And then you know what else I do is anything that I want to get better at myself, I put that out in the world, and then by doing it reinforces it for me, right? So I post something that's inspiring. I say something. I reach out to one person. And I'm in my own accountability groups, just like you guys are, and you guys are doing such a good job with those. I'm in 2 peer-led accountability groups, so we will check in with each other every day, right? So I'll think of like, what can I post in there? Who can I reach out to just to say, don't forget, keep your head up. If you need something, let me know. And then I do other things. Like sometimes I just need to write it out. Just write out any of the negativity, because it's kind of like when you put bubbles in the air and you pop it, it just kind of evaporates. When you put negative stuff sometimes down on paper, you get it out of here. It's sort of you see it clearer, and you're like, that's not true. And sometimes you need to do that. It just kind of depends. But I would definitely feed yourself. There's a book called the 5 a.m. What's it called? 5 a.m. Club. And it basically, you don't have to wake up at 5 a.m. to do it, but essentially it tells you to take an hour every morning and split it into 3 parts. And the first 20 minutes, I think you're supposed to maybe work out, and then, or maybe do that the second, but there's basically 3 parts. One part's working out, one part is having gratitude and meditation, and then the third part is reading or listening to something that fills you up. Reading a part of a book, listening to a great podcast, listening to somebody on YouTube. Evan Carmichael is amazing. He's going to be on my show tomorrow. He's one of the coolest people. There's so much free content. Every single day you make it a habit, and then feed it to somebody else and throw that energy back into the world. And you're going to be so lit up. And it's going to remind you, of course, this is possible. Of course, this is doable, right? How many of you have ever bought a lottery ticket? How many of you buy a lottery ticket every single week? All right. So most of us don't. Why? It only costs a few dollars. Why don't you buy a microphone every single week? I'm just reading your, no one said anything yet. I'll tell you why. Because, right, that's right. Chance is 1 in 2, and you don't believe it's going to do anything. So you're not going to do it. Right? It doesn't. It's a few bucks, but you would never do it. But if I told you that I just came home from the California State Lottery and I know the winning numbers and I'm 100% sure and I'm letting you know, you'd go and do it. So the reason you don't do it is because you're just not, if there's something you're not doing a lot about, you just think it's just such a long shot. So we have to look at that. We have to look at that, right? How many of you have taken a vacation and flown on an airplane? How many of you have done that more than 25 times? most of us, right? Why? Because you don't believe you're going to die. You're not an idiot, right? Like if you believed you're going to die, you wouldn't fly. But you think to yourself, it doesn't happen very often and I'm okay. So you go and you land and you're fine, right? And thank God it doesn't happen very often, right? So you weigh the odds and you believe you're going to get there and you get there. We don't believe deeply the way we need to. And that is what we can control. So we have to understand two things. Number one, what's possible. We have to understand it and feed it to ourselves. And the second part is that we deserve it and that we have it to offer. And what successful people do is they lean in to the crap, mediocrity. It's okay. Let it be bad. Lean in. Lean on into it. Make it bad because you're just going to make it. The point is to just make the music. Just get it made. Keep going. More, better, stronger. You've got to have the ability, right? We've talked about that. But the other thing that has to happen equally to you making music is you need to make the relationship with the person who wants it. You're in business. The only thing that makes it a business is that someone is paying you for it. That's what business means. If it's not, you're not making money from it, that's something else. That's okay. That's okay. There's a lot of things I do in my life that I don't get paid to do, and they're really worth my time, right? I don't get paid to hang out with my kids. I don't get paid to, right now I'm playing ukulele, I'm taking ukulele lessons, and it's so fun. I don't get paid to do it, and I love it, right? So we have to remember, like, I've spoken to people, and I want to like go like this, and I'm like, when was the last time that you did any kind of business development? And they're like, what does that mean? Like, reach out to someone, like connect with the people who are the person, your audience, your customer. No, I don't know. I'm like, okay, so that's the equivalent of going to the shop and the sign says closed. You want the sign to say open for business. That means you've got a customer. So in order for you to do that, you have to be super, super certain that you are not there to convince someone of something, to be the most impressive, to get someone to do something, because you won't do it. You have to understand that we were built to serve. You have to be in service, and you have to be clear that you're going into this from a place of service. You're going to make a relationship through really making a relationship, and then you will have no problem connecting the dots and making friends with all these folks. And secondly, you want to know that the music that you're creating is really intended to be the thing that's like that wallet where you're like, I made the song that you need. And they're like, thank you. That's so helpful. You're so helpful to work with, right? People don't have a problem spending the money that they've budgeted for things. They're looking for someone to do the job. We just got a pull quote from somebody and he's going to charge me money. And I told him what a nice person he was and how happy I was I found him. And he's charging me because I want the right person to do it. And I want someone who's easy to work with and who gets it and who's cool and who can make me the thing I need. So I'm happy to pay for the thing I want, right? I was happy to pay for this sweatshirt because I love it. I was happy to pay for this house. I was begging them to take the money for this house. They had two other offers. I was begging them to let me pay them. They're doing me a service. They made the house I wanted, right? So we have to get this. We have to get this, right? We have to get this. When it comes to art, you guys, when it comes to creativity, there's all these job reports now, and things are not as great as they used to be because a lot of machines are taking the place of people's jobs, right? But not people who are creative. That's what's so beautiful about being creative. A machine's not going to do that. It's not going to do it. It's not going to sing it, and it's not going to play it, and it's not going to have the authenticity. So when you can be a creative person and you can use your creativity and also help someone who needs something get it made, it's such a blessing to work with you. Because if you really weren't doing anything that was important, if what you were doing is not valuable, if what you were doing is just easy to find, they would tell the person who they pay $40,000 a year who sits at the cubicle over there to write the song. But it doesn't work that way. because it's priceless. And guess what? When it comes to talent and creativity, there's no standard. You set a new standard because it's an original. It's you, right? So it is valuable. It is valuable. So I want you to get this, and I really want you to get it, because this is the difference between people who wind up being super successful and people who don't. You need to be making this stuff, but you need to be making relationships. So I want to give you some homework. First of all, I want you to tell me who's in your audience. And again, you have two audiences. You have like the end user, like the humans who maybe would like throw a few dollars in your hat on the Subway platform, the person who'd buy your download, the person who's going to make a Spotify playlist. That's like the end user. Right now we're talking about business to business. We're talking about the person who's the target buyer, not target the brand, but meaning like end user, target user. Like this is a person who's going to bring your music into a project that lots of other people who are your other part of your audience are hearing. So for the purpose of this, we're talking about who's your client, who's your audience inside a business setting. Okay, that should be super clear. Then you want to look at the next few months and think to yourself, I'm going to figure out 10 of those people and I'm going to email them once a month at least. Okay, once a month at least. And your homework is, I want to see a sample of what you think you're going to send them. Like, what is it going to look like? What kinds of emails should you send? Okay, and I want to share with you right now, this is actually in my book. This is Tim Ferriss's email template. And where is it? I just had it. What page is this on? I just had it, and now it's gone. No, it's on. Here it is. Here it is. Okay, so in my book, there's like a cold email template that I put in here. This book comes out in November. And here's this is like super, super effective. Okay, this is just like a template I want you to think about. First paragraph. Hey, Mike. Hey, Tim, whatever the name is. I know you're incredibly busy and you get lots of emails, so this will only take 60 seconds to read. That's the whole first paragraph. Second paragraph, 1 or 2 sentences max. Letting them know who you are, right? You don't have to be Kate Middleton. You could just be like, second paragraph, I'm a singer-songwriter, I went to Berkeley and I found an article you read. Just to give some context, you know? I'm a songwriter and I live in San Francisco. I heard you speak at a panel. I read, it doesn't matter, just anything that kind of sets it up, like who the heck is this person? Why are you writing to me? Okay, that's the whole second paragraph, 1 or 2 sentences. Third paragraph, something really specific, a question that's super easy for someone to answer. For example, hey, what's the best book you would recommend an aspiring author to read? Right? A fun question for them to answer. And the last paragraph, I totally understand if you're too busy. Even a 1 or 2 line response will completely make my day, but you don't have to. No rush on reply. Here's why it works. The opening line shows that you're being thoughtful and trying not to intrude on their busy schedule. Saying that there's a 60-second time limit is intriguing, but then you actually have to make sure it's 60 seconds or less to read it. And then the final line, which says, I totally understand, no rush on reply, it takes the pressure off in comparison to saying, thanks in advance, looking forward to your response. It instantly makes you more likable. In reality, most people have a minute that they could just write back, right? I put this in my book because one of the things that I'm best at is outreach. And I don't get scared because I'm very clear. I always think to myself, you know what? At the end of the day, I'll be somebody who just adds a little light to somebody's day. I'll just be a nice email. I'll just send someone some good vibes. That's all. You know, everyone is open for business for that. People have really long days. There's a lot going on in people's lives. Everyone can appreciate a little extra, just like consideration. That's all. And how are we going to do that? And how are we going to write the EP? And how are we going to get into action? How are we going to do any of that? We have to make sure that we charge our batteries. You have to. It's a must. And then the things that we teach you and the ways that you're learning now to understand different themes and your all the stuff that's here, it'll actually work. But it really doesn't work. Like, people could have the best recipe in the world for something, but like you're only going to even begin to understand how to do this thing if you are really good up here and then you're diving into action. I just want to see if you guys have questions, because I haven't been looking at the chat so much. Kelsey said, I'm just starting at the bottom. What do you do once they respond? Yeah, so you just want to keep that volley going back and forth for a little while, right? What's your favorite pizza place? When we're in Chicago and the person writes back, Guido's on Lakeshore Drive, and you write back, oh, cool. And then maybe you send them a link to some YouTube video where someone's doing a pizza contest, or you just be a person, you just see, and then maybe you say something like, if you ever come out here, this is my favorite, whatever. And then you ask another quick question. I'm just curious, what are you hearing most lately? What song keeps coming up? Or, what's the last cool band you got to see? Just keep it going. Just keep it going the way you would if you were making good small talk with someone that you genuinely want to become friends with. Ask them questions. Ask them questions. We had a student of ours from the other class. He's awesome. He was saying that he wrote to a music supervisor and he said, I just want to let you know, I really appreciate you. I love what you said, da, 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 da. You're awesome. I want to be like you when I grow up. He said, LOL. And then he said, here's the link to the article I read about you, And so the person, he told me, wrote back right away, oh, that's so cool that you read that article. And I guess it like makes it even more sincere. Like if you have that to point to, guess what? Google any of these folks, they're all in articles right now. So you can find a million ways to start a genuine conversation. And there's other things too. Like you don't have to send the article link. You could say, I was watching, because maybe you're doing some research on iSpot TV or TuneFind, and you're watching an episode and you find this great song, and you take a link to the song, on a Spotify playlist, or a link to the song on YouTube, and you say, thanks to you, I found this band and they're amazing. By the way, I know you're in Minnesota. If I ever get out that way, what's like the thing I have to see in your city? Ask them something. Ask people for their recommendations. Ask people for fun things, because what happens is we then associate those good feelings with you, and it just becomes fun. And then it's like, oh, here's it. And then you just start to kind of like know when it's the right time. Most likely that person at some point will be like, you could send me music, because they know that would make you feel good and you're being nice. And they're probably going to say, you're handling this really well. Oh my God, I love Ben Rector. Yes, he's amazing. So that really works really well. And then at some point I would say, what do you need? Is there anything you need? And then you could say, no rush on reply. Here's 3 songs. I was looking at all the work you're doing and I think these would fit really well. But that's just such a nicer thing when that comes in email 3 than when that comes in email number 1, And then again, instead of saying what most people do, and it's just fascinating, they don't connect with you on a personal level. They don't make a connection or a friendship. And they just keep sending people these long-winded emails where they tell people everything that they ever did. They're trying to prove themselves. And then in the end, the call to action is, here's my music. There's not even a call to action that's going to get you a response. There's nothing specific you're asking. You're just basically saying, listen to this. So I don't know why people, if you really think about that, it's like, what do you need back from me? You're not going to hear back from me. You need a specific thing that's easy for them to do, where they like, and something fun. Like, I don't know about you, but I like when people ask me those kinds of questions. Like, what was your favorite childhood snack after school? What's your favorite 80s sitcom? Where's your favorite place to get a sweatshirt? What's your favorite place to get tapas in LA? I'm like, ooh, fun question. I just like even being asked it. It's fun. I like that. Who's the first person that you ever, what was the first job you had that you were so happy you had? Who mentored you? Oh, those are such good memories. Oh, good feelings, good vibes. I love talking to this person. People do business with people that they like. Can you, tell me right now, can you start to send emails like this? Yes or no? How does it feel? Raise your hand if it feels better. I know I'm like totally leading the witness here, but I think it does feel better. I think it's night and day. I think most of the time we're not taught this, right? We're not taught this. In fact, we're taught that you're going into an interview, you need to be impressive. You need to write a good resume. You need to look your best. That is the best. What's the best way to be impressive to another person? I love this. Be yourself, be impressive, be nice, be genuine. I'm trying to get to something else, but I love all of that. You know what it is? Make them feel impressive. Right? We are so similar, you guys. You know what we want? We want someone to see us and value us. And that's a good thing. We are connected beings. We want to feel significant to other people. I talked to this guy, Evan Carmichael, the other day, and he said, don't overthink it. Just tell me the first thing that comes to you. What do you feel like is your number one value? And I said, to make people feel seen. And he said, good. He goes, now I know that you just said that. That is the thing you did not get enough of. And I said, that's right. And he goes, so that pain serves such a big purpose because that gave you this deep desire to make sure everyone would have that, right? And when I look back at everything that I've done and all the people I know who are successful and what it is that they wind up doing with their life, ultimately, it comes from something that they went through and now they are determined to make sure someone else will not feel that way, will have the antidote, right? I just remember like so much of the time, we don't value, people will say to me like, oh, well, how is what I'm doing going to make someone feel seen? I'm an artist. I'm making donuts. I write music. I'm a choreographer. And I'm like, dude, because you do the thing that you can't even put money on. You make people feel things. You make people feel things. Who's better at, who should be more equipped at doing this than you, right? I can remember being in college. I think I was a freshman in college. And I went with my friends. We drove up to Atlanta. We were at my friend's house for a few nights. And we went to go see Good Will Hunting, this movie, Good Will Hunting. And that was like the first time I was like 19. And I realized that telling stories to people is one of the most powerful ways to heal another person. Just telling a story. And I remember feeling like, you walk into a movie and you're like, all right, this is about a kid from South Boston. He's a janitor. He's a brilliant, like math wizard. I have nothing in common with this kid, right? And then there's that scene, the scene, and Robin Williams is like, it's not your fault. And he's like, dude, I know. Like, you can chill. He's like, it's really not your fault. He's like, I know, dude. It's a little weird. Like, you can back off. He's like, it's not your fault. And he just starts to lose it. He starts crying. He's like, it is not your fault. It's not your fault that they burnt cigarette butts out on your face. It's not your fault that your, father like broke your collarbone. It's not your fault. Let it go. And you're bawling your eye. You're literally sitting there bawling. And you're like, I don't know this guy. It's a movie. I don't live in Boston. I'm not even a man. What do I have in common with him? Except it's everything, right? It's everything. And you leave that movie and you're like, I accessed feelings that I knew I needed to feel, and I don't even know where they came from. This is what art does for us, right? This is what a concert can do. Every time I go to a concert, it is a religious experience. I leave there and I say to my sister, I can't go to church. I can't go to synagogue. It doesn't compare. It's not in the same stratosphere. I go to a concert and I'm like weeping, smiling, having huge, ecstatic, big feelings. I feel connected to every single person, all these strangers. All of a sudden, we're like one family. How do you put a price on that? What is that going to cost? $10? No way. It's $180 to go to that concert. You want to sit closer? It's $350. Why are you paying that? Because how do you put a price on what that experience can do for you? How do you put a price on that? All of these human beings that you're going to be in business with, they are that person who goes into that movie, sits at that concert. They want to feel seen. They are those people. So when I'm writing music or doing my podcast, it's no different than when I'm reaching out to someone in business. They're all the same to me. They're all people who feel invisible too much of the time. That's what I see. So I'm not in it for the sale. I'm really in it genuinely because I think it would be pretty cool to make friends with this person. Now, I don't want to be friends with everybody, but I genuinely respect these people. I think that they're amazing. I like what they do. They're nice. They support indie artists. They're music fans. I think that's pretty cool. You know, and I do want to serve them and help them because they are my audience. They're the people that I know I can help. I can't help everybody in this world, right? Not everyone's going to listen to my podcast. Not everyone's going to buy my music. Not everybody's going to read my book. But the people who are those people, I want to help those people. I want to be the person that they go to, right? So we have to stop believing that the reason that we're not successful is because we don't have something that we need. And we have to go do more, and we have to do it from a place of giving and build the relationship. So now is a great time, right? Like I told John what I was going to talk about today, and he's like, hold on, but he was really sweet about it. He's like, I want them to pitch once they have, all this stuff, and he's a producer, so he's so good at like teaching you guys. Cause like I'm a songwriter, like a lot of you, some of your producers. I just go in and write music, right? I can teach you guys like, these are the ways that I pick themes. And then he can be like, okay, hear this sound, hear this thing, do this, like all that stuff. So great. And he's like, let them get all that. And then they're going to sit there. And I'm like, no, they have to start making relationships right now. Right? You have to start making relationships right now. Okay, so between now and the end of the year, here's your homework. You have an accountability group. You guys are doing such a good job with those folks, okay? So what I want you to do is make sure that you let your group know, because this is also going to be in the homework. Let us know who is your audience and keep building that list until you have 10 people. And you are going to start to reach out to those people once a month in this style. I read this thing about you. I watched this show. I know you picked this song. I just want to let you know I really appreciate that. You don't have to respond. I have one quick question. Advice, inspiration, something that they want to recommend. Anything that would be fun. Don't ask a loaded question that will take 4 paragraphs. Something fast. Fast that's going to associate you with someone who's interesting, who's interested, who makes them feel like you care, you give a crap about them. Something easy to answer. Right? Don't say something like, what's your advice to a songwriter? Like that's a big question. That's like asking for like a consultation. Quick question, what's your favorite album? What's your favorite B-side? What's the best concert you ever went to? You live in Los Angeles. What do you love better? Mountains or ocean? Like ask them something. Where's your favorite hotel? When's the best time to go there? How do you get around the traffic? Ask any question. I just heard you, I saw your article about this. That's amazing. What was your favorite part of work? Something fast, something quick. What's your advice? What should I listen to? What should I do? Anything. Fun. Keep it fun. Try to keep it as far away from the music as possible. Try to let that keep. Think of it like you got this music back here. You know that. But really, first, we got to make a relationship. You got to prime that wall. You got to preheat that oven before you ever bring that in here. So, like, let it sit there. Just hold on. Because remember, you're not in it to make a sale. You're trying to make a relationship with a human. And if you make a relationship with 6 humans that happen to choose music for This Is Us and then one's at Ogilvy, you're fine. You're done. Really and truly, like, it's crazy. But my whole career is like 20 people in the world. Like 20 people. And everybody else is like, I've heard of her. It's like, who cares? Like, and some people like never heard of her. It doesn't matter. You make a whole career out of a few handfuls of people. Okay, I'm just looking now to see if you guys have any questions. Should ham and pineapple really be on a pizza? It's a good question. I do like the salt and the sweet together. But I'm not really a ham person. What else? I'm just reading through. You guys are so sweet. You're like, I love this. crying. Because we're all the same. You're just like me. We're all the same. We all care. And that's why I can't quit it. I keep telling my team, I can't do this anymore. I have to just, I love songwriters because I feel like we're the ones who help people through all those feelings. Nothing better than music to get you through anything. Joni Mitchell, that Blue record, that was my whole high school. That was my therapy all through high school. River, that's it. Just need that song. Carole King also. And I know I'm not original. I wish I could be original and be like, it was someone other than them. No, it's not. Indigo Girls, I've been to 6 of their concerts. How lucky was I that I grew up during Lilith Fair and I went like 4 times and saw everybody. Anyway, I'm just looking through your comments to see if there's any questions. And I'm sure there's some that are way up at the top. So I'm going to scroll back down to the bottom. Oh, Alex had a big question. What should we put as a subject heading? Cool. You ready for this? So don't say song submission. Don't do that, right? So when I write somebody an email, I don't want them to already identify from the subject that this is not something they need to read. So I actually try to be different than most subject lines. And I try to be so out there that they have no clue what I'm talking about. They have to click on the email, okay? So I might say something like extra cheese and pumpkin spice lattes, or extra cheese and Joni Mitchell. As long as the 2 things I say in the subject line just relate somehow to the question I asked, the city I'm talking about, it doesn't matter. This works, people. It works. Because if I see an email that says, Chicago style pizza and I don't know, whatever, something else. I'm trying to think, like whatever you would write about. Like I have an email I can remember sending from years ago. It was like October. And that's another thing I'll try to bring in if I need a question. Like, what are you dressing up for Halloween? I'll bring in something fun, something like human. So I just remember I have an email and it was like pumpkins and tap shoes. And it was because like at the bottom of the email, I put a picture of my daughter at the time. I think she was 1. And she was like, it was like the obligatory pumpkin patch photo. And then there was something else in the email where I was like, tap shoes came up. And by the way, it doesn't hurt to add an image to the bottom of your email too. Because again, anything you're going to do that's just going to make people feel something. No one buys things, they buy feelings. So your job is just to make a connection, and however you can do that best. Well, that's sweet. Mark said I sent someone a thank you and the subject got a same day response. That's also fine. Would they not think it's spam? I guess it just depends, right? But hopefully you're going to do this once a month. You can try it a few different ways. Yeah, Sync Research 101, like that just to me sounds businessy. You want to make it casual. Casual is the new professional. So casual, keep it light. Remember zebra gum? Yeah, it was good. Question, where do we find personal emails of supervisors and business affairs people? Thanks. Cool. So this is actually really easy, okay? So first of all, you want to know who you're writing to because a lot of these people have websites. For instance, Chop Shop, Alexandra Patsavas and Casey White and Casey Truman and Brittany White and all the folks at Chop Shop. Chop Shop is a third-party music supervision company, just like Format, just like Full Pursuit. They're hired by ABC. They're hired to do the Grey's Anatomy stuff. So a lot of these people, even Nora Felder, Jen Piken, Whirly Girl Music, Frankie Pine, they have their own websites with their contact information. They don't work at NBC, okay? So there's one thing, like to do a little searching and Google it and share the information with your accountability groups. Second thing, if somebody works at NBC or Deutsch or Ogilvy or Droga or 72 and Sunny, it's only one of 2 things. It's either first name dot last name at NBC or it's first name last initial. So you can just type in the to column, first name dot last name at NBC, and then in the BCC, type the other one. One of them will bounce back and one of them won't. It's really not hard. Like really, people are always like, I can't find the emails. I'm like, just make it up. Like it's not hard. It's really not. And then sometimes what you can do is if you're getting really confused, every once in a while it's hard because I can give you a challenging one where it's like, I want you to email the person who's at the Paris office of Gray Advertising, and the ending of the URL might be different, right? It might have a country code in it, right? So then you go to the website and you look for one email address, even if it's an HR person, and they'll say carol.whatever at gray.il, because it's like Italy or whatever their country code is, and you're done. You find it. Not hard. And also remember, information is everywhere. So don't worry that you're not going to get your turn, and share information with your friends. Share it with each other. Share the information. The information is not the thing that's going to get someone work and you not get the work. The information is there. The thing that's going to ultimately make someone successful is that they've got a ton of energy. They believe a lot in what's possible. They believe in themselves. They know how to make relationships with people that's empathetically based, and they get to work. Not because someone has an email address. When I started out, I would meet songwriters and I would give people email addresses. And my husband was like, why would you do that? They're going to be competitors of yours. And I'm like, first of all, no one can take your destiny. Like that's weird. That's not a thing. And then also it's like, just because I tell you something doesn't mean I can do everything else for you, right? I'm not making the song. I'm not there creating the relationship that you're supposed to create. I'm not going to follow up and be polite, but persistent, assertive, but not aggressive, and kind. And there's a lot that goes into it, but business is really about making relationships. It's really about making friends, and you have to know how to do that. And so I see that some of our other programs, people finish the program and they're just like not getting a lot done. And I just don't want that to be you, right? Like I want to see you getting it done. And the reason and when I do see people who are succeeding, like I said, is because they do this, right? They do that. And so if you're going to do that, it's going to be start now, make it a habit, start now, make it a habit where you're reaching out to people. Okay. I'm just looking to see if there's any other, any tips on targeting different ad? Is it ever a good idea to email the companies they serve? Sometimes it is, like for instance, let's say 7-Up is working with McCann or something like that. So probably they're going to hire the team at McCann to be the ones to find the music. But I would venture to say that the person who's in the marketing department of 7-Up gets less emails with music. So you could email them also. And then maybe they would be like, oh, you need to reach out. Our ad agency handles that for us, Fine. But how cool do you sound when you tell them Stephen, whatever his name is, Stephen Pressfield is the one who told me to reach out to you. Stephen Pressfield is a really famous author. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's better. So try that. And then sometimes the companies do have sometimes things that they could use your music for. Sometimes they do, like they're doing like an industrial for in-house, or they want to have music for Instagram. And that might be a good way to get your foot in the door. Maybe they're going to pay you to use your song on a couple videos they're putting out. Sometimes they're not using an ad agency for those things. It just depends. So you could reach out to them for that if you want. I'm just looking for other questions. What if you write a short, friendly email and no response? 100%, I would expect that, right? Like the reason we say massive action is because for every 3 people that respond, there's going to be 20 that don't. So yeah, this becomes just like a practice, right? And instead of taking it personally, we just assume, of course they're not. Why would they respond, right? You should probably go in with that, which is like why you're going to say, I'm not going to send 3 emails a day. I'm going to send 10. By the end of the week, I'll have sent 50 emails and I'll hear back from few. And you'll be really happy with that. You'll notice, because again, you don't need 50 people. You couldn't probably even serve having 100 clients. You probably couldn't keep up with that. You just need a few. They'll keep you in business. Like I have a friend who made a relationship. I told you, I think I might have told you this, but she made a relationship with the music supervisor for Days of Our Lives. It was one relationship. When I met her, that's the only music supervisor she knew. And she was making $80,000 a year from that relationship because they do a show every day. And she just got in with this lady and she was like, just send me all your music. I love you. I like the quality. Fine. And she would just like pre-clear it. And she would license a song every day. I was like, wow, that's cool. You know, I never even thought of that. Right. I have a friend who got in with DreamWorks and she wrote one theme song and now she's like their go-to person. And like, really, she doesn't even have time to do anything outside of DreamWorks right now. So what's happening here? What do you need? You need a few people. So take a ton of action, try to collect these people, make friends, and keep it and keep on it. What's your favorite cookie? I love that. It's cute. My favorite cookie? I don't know. Like I like a good oatmeal raisin cookie. And I also like, I don't know. I'm trying to think. That's not such an interesting answer. Let's see. I've noticed a lot of music supervisors in Vancouver. Why is that such a hot spot? Well, right now there's a lot of things shooting in Vancouver, right? And so that's probably one of the reasons, because people are getting tax incentives to shoot there. And so I think that creates a hotbed of a lot of production and post-production. Reach out however you want. You could reach out on LinkedIn. You could even reach out. A lot of these people are not famous. So you could even DM them on Instagram. I mean, I have a decent following. I respond to every DM on Instagram. I get tons of them a day. Just keep it casual and personable. What does it mean when there are 2 to 3 ad agencies on one license in an iSpot? That's a good question. So sometimes Dr. Pepper hires this agency to do their print work and this agency to do their TV work. And they're working with a couple ad agencies. So sometimes the ad might feature 2 different pieces that they got from different agencies. But the agency is the agency, but they might be sort of referring to other things that are going on with the brand. All right. So yeah, the Australian market is awesome. There's so many cool people there. In fact, I email a bunch of people there. I did a spot for, oh my God, what is it called? How did I forget? It's Bonds. You know Bonds, the clothing? I did 2 ads for them. And yeah. And I also, I did there's a bunch of great people in Australia at different agencies down there. And I'm just thinking, you know, like Australia has like all the main agencies that we have here, like TBWA, Day, DDB, you know, and I find that the people overseas don't get as many, they don't get as much activity, they just don't get as much. And why not? I've done a lot of stuff overseas and it's so cool. Yeah, I did something for Offspring. Yeah, I did. Yeah, and there's a Leo Burnett there. And one time, let me tell you what the person's name was. Let's see if I can find, what was his name? Was it Justin? In New Zealand. Hang on. Like I just searched, here's an email from this guy Justin at DDB New Zealand. And I wrote to him and he said he forwarded my email to Judy Thompson, who's the head of TV. And I'm just thinking that was like there's so many emails that I have with people who live on that side of the world. I'm just thinking, who else? There's a bunch of great ad agencies there that we work with. A bunch of them. And I would make that a thing. Like you don't have to live in Australia to reach out to them. You don't have to live in the Czech Republic to reach out to people there. So anyway, okay, homework. So number 1, who's your audience? Who are the people that you are serving? Make a list, get it specific, find out what their names are, make a list. Find their email addresses, start emailing them, okay? Know your audience, send them 1 email, and make sure you go ahead and send an email. That's your homework for the week. Send an email, and I want to see the draft. I want to see what you write. So I want you I want you to post it, what you wrote. And then the last piece is you need to figure out how to charge your batteries and make a commitment at least through the end of this year to see what happens if you start every day. Non-negotiable, you're to listen to something or read something that inspires you every single day, and see how that changes your ability to get resourceful and to take things and do them, right? And to see how much momentum happens by just doing more, okay? All right, well, this was really fun, and I'm glad that so many of you from across the pond got to be on here today. How are you guys feeling right now, energy-wise? Good? Okay, good. It's been a long session though, so I'm gonna let you guys go. Hope you guys have an amazing week, and I look forward to seeing your homework and to seeing all the cool stuff. And I just really want to tell you, it's been a hard month in some ways. It's been an amazing month in other ways, but John lost his mom, and it was really unexpected. So it was really extra sad. It was not like it's always sad, but it was really hard. And he has said more than once that working with you guys has been actually lifting him up. So I just want to say thank you for that. Thank you. And we don't take it for granted. Yeah, he's awesome. And this was great. So keep doing stuff. We have awesome people coming into the program, including Hunter George, who's the executive director of Music Supervision Guild, meaning like all the music supervisors sort of he connects to and hangs with them and knows all of them. But there's a lot of cool people coming in. We're going to finish this year super strong. We've got a lot more to do. And just because it feels like people start to slow down, not in the music business. Remember that Super Bowl happens in January, and the budgets on those ads are like $200,000 a pop. I'm not joking. It's insane. So know it, right? Like keep the possibilities going. Like people think everyone's closing shop, and it's not happening. It's actually the opposite. It's a very busy season. It's a very good season to be having music for ads. And just think about it. Think about all these songs you're hearing, those happy, feel-good songs. Have a few of those. Have a few of those. And then, of course, you can have the songs that are like, whatever is specific to you a little bit more so. But if you're thinking like, think Super Bowl. Think Super Bowl. We're going to be getting a lot of that stuff, and the budgets are crazy, crazy, crazy. One of those would allow you to not work for the next year. All right, so have an amazing night, and thank you for being here, and I'll talk to you guys soon.